Um, my name is Ethan Bach, and this is Charles Veasey, and we're here to present a software that we developed called vDome. We're coming at you from the Institute of American Indian Arts, which is a four-year college that focuses primarily on Native arts and Indigenous studies. If you haven't seen anything about our dome, it's sort of crazy. It hangs from the ceiling. It weighs about 8,000 pounds, and we can move it. It's 24 feet wide. And the black box is about 42 feet. And we have movable seating, so we're able to do a lot of different things in there. We've been open since November 2010. And the first thing that we started out with is we were sub-awardees on an NSF grant with UNM Arts Lab. And the first thing that I was charged with is to teach students how to create stuff in the dome. If you caught me last year, this is some of the stuff I showed. Students use different techniques like, see how I look fast, green screening, compositing, that kind of stuff. I'll just do real quick. We also did a 3-day workshop with XRES, and so we've been using a lot of their skill sets that they taught us to develop curriculum. One of the things that Arts Lab was doing with the NSF grant was creating interactivity in the dome. Here's an example of dome droids that they created, and this is our dome here. So you use a Wii Fit board to navigate around, and you use a Wii controller to shoot. So we thought that was pretty cool. We liked that, and to be able to really play a game in the dome was really amazing. So we decided that we were gonna build off of that, and we wrote a grant also with UNM, and there are several awardees, so we kind of trade places. And it's full dome development for interactive, immersive training capabilities for the Department of Defense. So as an artist who's coming to this field, I'm grateful that the Department of Defense is paying for my art, so that's pretty fun. So we've done a lot of things. One of the things, I'll do that later, I'll show you some images. So one of the things we've been doing is, again, focusing on curriculum because we are a college. So students have been learning how to shoot panoramic images, stitch them, do HDR effects, and be able to put them in a dome environment and do some special effects along the way. This might look very familiar if you've seen the XRES stuff. So we're definitely taking off from their techniques and creating some new stuff. This is Chaco Canyon. All that good stuff. All right, another thing that we've been doing with vDome, this was our first interactive art piece. This is Jason Berg, and he's going to talk in a little bit when we demonstrate his piece. But we hooked up 2 Kinects in the dome, and depending on the movement of the people in the audience, and here they're just getting lectured at, obviously, but depending on their movement, the colors would shift in the dome. Here we are. This is our staff. We're both part-time. So it's kind of, I do 30 hours a week and Charles does 20, and we both have other jobs as well. So we've kind of done this out of love and dedication and access to a lot of fun equipment. We have a lot of educators that work with us because we deliver at least 1 dome class a semester, and then right now we're doing summer internships. It's like 3 or 6 weeks at 30 hours, and the students are all paid to participate in that, so that's really amazing.
So what we've been developing on, we've been building off previous research, specifically from Arts Lab at UNM. They created an OpenGL library called DomeGL, and what they were doing was using a single computer Mac system, 12 core, with 2 Quadra 4000 cards, and they were able to produce things like that game you saw on a single computer at 2K resolution, I believe. That's what they were doing, and on a 6 projector system just like this one. So they sort of proved that all this can be done on one machine, and from our point of view, from a technology point of view, that's a good thing. It just simplifies cost, simplifies just the overall setup, and just kind of the whole system in general. So we've been building on that, and one of the things we first wanted to do is make that technology more accessible. II is an art school, and they don't have a computer science department. So what we did was, instead of creating an OpenGL library, we created an application. And that way they can just run the application in the background and plug whatever sort of existing programming environment or development environment they're using. So, the other key person that I've been reading his research is theorist Paul Borg from Australia. He's done a lot of interesting dome work in the past. He works on a small iDome, I think he calls it, which is a kind of a one-person personal dome. He's been doing some really interesting work and just sharing a lot of the theory on his website as well. II has a SkyScan system, and so we use both of them at the moment, sort of interchanging between the two. We have it set up on a switch, so we can switch between the SkyScan cluster and our one computer system. So just talk a little bit about the software architecture. Like I mentioned, it's an application that sort of runs in the background, and its basic job is to do the slicing in real time and do the distortion correction and the color correction. Here's the software here. We started it 1 year ago, at the beginning of this grant. So the basic idea is to use sort of off-the-shelf components, sort of existing infrastructure. So in that way, we're not recreating everything from scratch. So just keep the price down and facilitate existing workflows. So if you're used to working in Unity or Quartz Composer or some other kind of Maximus P or some kind of real-time development production environment, what we want to do is reuse that and be able to pipe it directly into the dome without having to relearn a new software and how to do things. So the way we're doing that, we have several inputs into the software. One is a TCP connection. So if you're working on the same machine, you can stream in directly from the TCP out. And then the other way is we're using a Mac technology called Siphon. And Siphon is a technology developed by Tom Butterworth. And basically what it is OpenGL texture sharing across applications with no latency. So what we can do is create a game in Unity, drop in the Siphon plugin, and automatically it's outputted to the vDome and accessible to vDome as well. So again, no kind of real extra work aside from dropping in this plugin to your development environment. This works in Max and Quartz Composer and lots of other things.
One of the key things that I wanted to address with the software is being able to just drop in an MOV movie that's 2K, Dome Master, and be able to play it 30 frames per second, because slicing, as any of you know that has been doing this sort of work, is rather painful. And as an artist coming in, I just wanted to make it really an easy process. And when my students were working with the SkyScan system, they'd be creating 3-minute pieces, and it would take 4 hours to slice it. And so the workflow there was really tedious for me. And then when we transfer to go to a different dome, like in show in LA and that kind of stuff, there would be an error, but you wouldn't notice it until you were a minute and a half into the clip, and then it would crash and this sort of thing. So slicing was something that I wanted to work around and be able to get it so you'd have instant gratification.
So one of the interesting things, and what's nice is having the dual system with us, is we can use the vDome software if we want for production development and just kind of instant feedback for how things are going to look on the dome. And then if we wanted to run like 4K high-res stuff, we can switch over to the SkyScan. And we're talking the vDome software. We kind of priced it out just today because the prices are always changing, and it looks like the prices on the Mac have came down and the graphics card, so we're looking at like around $5,000 to $6,000 just to get up the real-time system running. And we're sort of targeting 2K right now because that's essentially what our dome is. This is the first time we've vDome software. And as you see, we have kind of a settings panel, a master render controller, the socket TCP input stream, the siphon stream, and then we built in just a simple media-based controller just for ease of use. So briefly, the way the systems work is you bring in a 3D model with the correct texture map. In this case, we want a texture map that outputs a dome master into the correct distortion. You can set up your windows and place as many cameras as you want onto those windows. So essentially what we're doing is putting cameras at the places where the projectors are and pointing it at the virtual dome, the hemisphere, and we get the output distortion correctly that way. So here's the camera configurations. So one of the things we are interested in is having manual control over the configuration and over the distortion. We haven't quite looked. We've been looking at various automatic kind of algorithms. We could do this automatically. We wanted to get the manual stuff in there first because we feel like that's an important part to be able to go and adjust it to the way it looks to your own eye. So we have these GUIs that can do like a 5x5 grid distortion map across each camera or each projector. And then there's a color tool where you can go and step through the camera and adjust the levels at various settings.
So now Charles is going to go up to the top there where systems at and play some demos and we do proof of concept. One thing that Charles mentioned is just coming to this dome and setting up has been a really, he kind of downplayed it. It's been a huge learning experience. We just came like 2.5 weeks ago, and we thought, oh, we'll come in here, we'll hook up to their system, and the biggest problem we'll have to figure out is like how our software interacts with their system and all that kind of stuff. And what we ended up finding out was the way that the dome was wired at that time, we didn't have enough juice to output to six channels. So our main thing then was we got 3 channels up, and we're gonna have to shut off this projector too. So whoever's up there with the projector can shut this one off for now. We're gonna put it back on, or shutter it. So what happened was when we came back earlier this week is we ended up rewiring their entire dome, and then that's what everybody used is we switched to Cat 6 and had some boosters in there, and that seems to work a lot better. So we spent a good 2 days just figuring out why the heck it wasn't putting anything up on the dome. So the first example we're going to play is going to show you the 30 frames per second. This is a piece done by Megan Tomier. She's a visual artist who participated in a show that I co-curated with Orlando Leibowitz as part of IAI in Santa Fe Complex. And what we did is I worked with the artist for 6 months and taught them how to kind of convert their stuff to the dome. And Megan was really unique because everything that we did was virtual. She was in New York, and I was in Santa Fe. She never stepped foot in our dome. And I would put our dome, because we can move it, I'd put it all the way to the ceiling, and I'd videotape and talk over the videotape, and she'd make adjustments as necessary. So it worked pretty well. So that's just, it's as easy to play as if you can play a QuickTime movie. So you just kind of hit play, load your file, and there it goes. We can also play 5.1 surround sound. It was just a time constraint to get it locked in here. But as long as you can embed it into the MOV file, it will do spatialization around the 5.1. So. So the next thing that we're going to demonstrate is, as Charles mentioned previously, is that we can pipe Unity into the system using Siphon. And we just have, because there's just two of us, what we have is just a Unity demo game, and then we put what we're calling a Myosphere in there, and we put a piano in the Myosphere so we can kind of navigate, walk in there. So Charles can switch to that Unity. This is just a 1K image, that's why you're getting the visual static. Do you want to go on the sphere? So we were just playing with this idea of being able to take Unity and go into a sphere where we map the piano, spherical piano, and look around. Anyways, we're still working on that. Okay, so the next thing, and Jason, if you want to come down here wherever you are. The next thing is we wanted to show being able to connect maxed MSP, and this is the art show where we used the two connects and put them in the dome and was able to have the audience sort of drive the content in that sense. And that was part of Isaiah 2012, and Jason came down from Canada to join us today.
So yes, this is, there was no end. So this utilizes max MSP jitter, and we're really utilizing its randomization. And basically, the 360 abstractions is referencing significant indigenous values to inform rhythm and repetition and pattern in the work. Also, I was reflecting on 2012 and the various indigenous prophecies or teachings surrounding that year, which was last year. 13 is a really significant number, for example, which is based on the 13 moons. So these are abstractions of the sun, the moon, and the earth.
So this is the piece, like we were saying, that depending on how many people were in the dome and where they were moving and standing, the colors would change in the background. And it was very interesting because I'm an immersive media artist and I've done a lot of interactive installations. But having the dome, we put it about 7 feet tall and it was flat. And having that and then being able to walk across it, and it sort of felt like there was a shift inside your body, not necessarily a shift externally with the color because it was so gradual and slight. You kind of you knew that you were changing it, even if no one told you. It was really, really amazing and intuitive. Yeah.
And it was a really amazing experimental process, and I feel like we were just on the verge of something really exciting. I think that the motion sensors in that play was still very initial. I think that I'm really thankful for the work we completed, but I feel like there were still many things to experiment and play with and build upon with regards to participatory experiences using those technologies. So yeah, it was really awesome. I'd like to thank the school and the team. Thanks.
There we are. Okay, another thing that we're going to be doing, let's go through this, is we're going to be doing a VJ gig in a little bit, and I'll talk about that in a second. So I want to talk about the future and what we're looking towards and what we're wanting to build on with this. Obviously, we're going to get vDome. We want to get it a little bit more solid. We're going to open source it. Charles is looking to recode it into C++. So it's a little bit more optimized. We also have 2 computers that we built over, Charles built. I will not take credit for that. Charles built 2 computers over winter break, and we're having some hardware conflicts, but ideally what we'll have is a PC that is connected to the Mac, and we'll be running some of their processes on the PC and the Mac, and they'll be sharing that connection just to help it run faster and to help us to be able to run higher resolution. One thing I'm looking at is starting an artist in residency program, which is in process at IAI, like an official one. We have a lot of courses that we're offering there as part of the DoD grant, which is interactivity for immersive media, multimedia storytelling, computer programming for artists, digital imagery for the Dome, and 3D animation for the Dome 1 and 2. And we're looking to have some fun ourselves and do some more interactive work. One thing I wanted to mention just briefly is that Charles and I met in graduate school, so we've been working together for like 6 years and developing a lot of different interactive work, so it's a good time to be able to work together in the Dome. This is one of our things that we're doing next, if you can see it there. We've got the Dome, and then we got this rear projection screen that goes about 2/3 away around the Dome and skirts it. And because my idea was just I wanted to really be immersed in the image, and I really like it when our Dome is at 90 degrees and you have this staircase that you can stand on top of and peer into it. And it's sort of like this feeling like if you're standing next to the Grand Canyon, you always feel like you're falling forward, but things are moving and coming at you, and it's fun to freak people out, I think. But, so I wanted that feeling because what I noticed with that is when you're peering down and you're standing up, it really gives you more of an immersive experience. So ideally, I want to build a little platform in here so you can actually peer down into the video as well as up and back and around. So that's one of our next things that we want to do. The funny thing about watching SAT last night is sort of we're tapping into this collective unconscious because we didn't know that SAT was doing the same things that we are doing. We just started connecting with them a couple months ago. So it's very exciting to see that we're sort of all doing the same things and on the same page, even with the skirt thing, and they said theirs is removable, ours is removable, that kind of thing. It's kind of fun. So next we're going to be doing another live DJ performance. We have Jane DePayne, who's also known as Jane Creighton, who is one of our educators and has been working with us a lot. She also was one of the main people who got all this experimental stuff to come to IMERSA, so thank you, Jane. And we've got DJ artist Mikey Fisher, and let's go back here. And we have some contributing artists for the clips, Nick Schifflet, Derek Osterlund, David Faudel, and Megan Tomier. And here's the poster for it. Okay, so we're going to switch up, and they're going to do their thing. And I didn't want to forget this. While they're setting up real quick, I just wanted to do, if anyone has any questions about the software or whatever's going on there. And you're just going to have to talk to start.
I have a question about alignment. Maybe I walked in late, but how are you How are you aligning to different domes, like coming here and setting this up?
Well, this is our first time aligning to a different dome. So it actually, and Charles wasn't here until Thursday, and I'm not usually the one who aligns from scratch. So I came in and I was trying to do the alignment set that we do in our dome, and it wasn't working in here. So what we ended up doing was we ended up putting up a grid using just all 6 channels with our software and mapping it so it looks correctly. The settings that Charles has created in vDome allows you just about anything, any movement that you can imagine with a projector. But since it's a virtual environment, you have a camera, you can zoom in with the camera, you can zoom out, you can keystone, you can rotate, you can do a lot of different things with it. You can actually take, since it's a virtual dome, you can rotate the camera around the dome, so you're looking at 180 degrees and you can rotate it to 90 degrees with that same camera. It's a lot of trial and error, and since we were doing this system, it was a lot of eye-opening experience for us to be able to see how does it work on someone else's dome. But we got it really nice. Charles stayed here until 7 o'clock in the morning. Straightened it out. So.
Nice.
Under the DoD grant, are there any specific guidelines that you have to follow or restrictions as to what you can't do for programming?
Not that I know. No, they're happy with if we're staying on track with what the goals are, and the goals are for our students to be able to create and do more sort of STEM education in this environment, and to create something that allows them some more interactivity. So as long as we stay on those goals, we're good with them.
Yeah. awareness.
thanks so much. VDMX was crashing a little bit there, but this is our first time trying to VJ with this software. So one of the great things is that we personally know the VDMX guys, and so they're going to work with us to try to optimize it for Dome VJing specifically. So thanks, Mikey Fisher. Thanks, Jane DePayne. Jeremy, of course, for all your help and everything. Thank you all. Have a good night.